Hi everybody, Bill De La Cruz here. Welcome back. I want to share some more stories with you. And today what I want to talk about I call defining moments. So we all have had defining moments in our lives, times in our lives where we were really challenged by something or when we had a great success. So I want to share a defining moment for you about my life that was really challenging that now has turned into success. And it started when I was 13 years old. My sister Lee, who was barely 20 years old at the time, this was in the late 60s, was my protector. She helped me, she supported me, she kind of buffered some of the stuff that I did with my dad, and was really somebody that I loved and cared about because she cared about me. And I remember one day, a beautiful, sunny Southern California day, we were standing outside in our driveway and talking about getting together. I'd never been to my sister's house. I never really hung out with her because she had left home as soon as she turned 18. And I was so excited because we had planned to get together the next week. I was going to go to her house for the first time. I was going to have lunch with her and just kind of hang out and chill. And it was so exciting. And that night I went to sleep, woke up the next morning, the phone rang at 6 o'clock in the morning, which was pretty unusual. My bedroom was right next to the kitchen. So I ran into the kitchen, I heard my mom, she was screaming into the phone, call the police, call the ambulance. And I was standing close enough to the phone that I heard my sister's boyfriend say, I think it's too late, she's cold. My sister died that night of acute bronchial pneumonia. Acute bronchial pneumonia is something that can be solved if you go to the doctors and get an antibiotic. And my brother knew my sister was really sick because he had had medical training in the Navy, and she didn't go to the doctors when he encouraged her. And it really upset me because coming from that type of an abusive home where the narrative you get is that you're not worthy, you don't matter, and shouldn't care for yourself, which was a big message that both she and I got. I blamed my dad for what happened because the narrative of not being worthy and not being enough can lead to somebody not taking care of themselves, which is what happened. And so when my sister died, it shattered my whole family even more, shattered my whole world. I couldn't talk to anyone about it. My parents never really had a conversation about it. I think it just devastated them. And I remember standing outside of her house all by myself while I was looking across the street at ambulance and coroners, and my parents didn't think I could handle seeing her. And so I was just all alone. I don't even think my school knew that my sister died that night, and I didn't know where to go for support. I was so angry and so traumatized that substance abuse became a part of my life for a number of years. And I remember going to the funeral, and I was sitting in a chair and her coffin was to the right. It was one of those open coffin ceremonies. And I remember seeing all of these people walking by me, telling her dead body how beautiful she was and how much they loved her and what a light she was and how she inspired them. And in my twisted little 13-year-old brain, I'm thinking, who the heck are you people? My sister never told me about you. I've never seen you interact with her. And those would have been really lovely words for her to hear when she was alive, not when she's laying flat in a coffin. And so for this little 13-year-old kid, that was the most challenging, defining moment I think I've ever experienced, because I lost my protector and I didn't have anybody to talk to. And so the only way I could manage through the intense emotional charges that I was having was with substance abuse. Because when I was high or when I was drunk, I didn't have the energy to hurt myself or other people. I thought about it because life was just never the same after that. And I'm telling you this story because when I tell you that the practices and the things that I'm doing and that I'm sharing with you are the reason I'm standing here, it's really true. Because had I not been able or willing to grow myself, I wouldn't be here today. Especially at that young age where I had so much trauma and so much turmoil. So that was all a big part of my work. And when I realized that I couldn't manage my anger through substances, I had to start to really deal with that anger and really look at it and feel it and accept it as a part of my life. And that was one of the hardest things to do. And that's why I say sometimes our defining moments are challenges that turn into successes. And by success, I just mean that they don't continue to debilitate us. It doesn't mean that I still don't have that experience. It doesn't mean that I still don't get emotional when I think about my sister, when I think about her passing, when I think about what could have been. What did she have to bring the planet that no one ever saw, because her life was cut so short at barely 21 years old. And as I started to realize that I couldn't control my emotions through some mind-altering substance, I had to stop doing that. And that took me a while, and I had to really start to process my hurt, my pain, my anxiety. And one of the best lessons I learned, and it's something I think for all of us to think about, and that is, if you love and care about somebody, the time to tell them is when they're like this, breathing, alive, looking at you. Because when they're in a coffin or when they're in an urn, it's too late. It doesn't matter what you say, they'll never hear that. And I remember telling people that I knew when I was young, I don't think I ever told my sister that I love you. I don't remember ever saying that in words, looking at her in the face. And people said, oh, don't worry, she knows that you loved her. And I said, that's BS. The only way she would know that I loved her is if I said it. And that was a regret that I held for a long time in my life, that I never told my sister that I loved her, or I don't remember if I ever did. And so the life lesson is and continues to be that if you love somebody, you care about somebody, you are connected to somebody, tell them right now. And don't let distance, don't let time, don't let something that's keeping you apart stop you from letting them know how much they mean to you. Because whatever happened between you is not as challenging or hard as them leaving the planet with you feeling bad or guilty or whatever you might feel because you never cleaned things up with them, or that you never said I'm sorry, or you never had a conversation with them. And I know that for many of you who are listening to this, that you are in some way in that same position with somebody in your life. And I'm talking family, close friends, not strangers, but people that mean something to you. And so the success that I've had in my growth is to realize that relationships really matter, and that for the people who are especially close to me and who I love, my family, my friends, my extended family, that it's never too late to say I'm sorry. It's never too late to say I love you. It's never too late to say I care about you, unless they've passed. Then it's too late. So if this is you, if my story connects to your story, I want you to journal what it is that's preventing you from moving forward. Remember, writing it down creates different synapses in your brain to fire that increase understanding, increase creativity, increase empathy. So writing it pen to paper, pencil to paper is really important. Don't type it. And then think about how to have a conversation with them. So journal it, even write your conversation. And don't worry about how they're going to accept it. Part of this is that you're doing this because you know it's something that you want to do, that you want them to hear. So acknowledge where you're at, step one. Acknowledge your relationship with them. Step two, journal. Write it down. Process it. Find somebody close to you that you trust and who knows you to talk to them about this experience and what you're feeling and what you intend to do. And then finally, have that conversation with that person and let them know how you feel about them. And remember to love and be compassionate to yourself as you go through this process. And that you are worth all of the steps that I'm sharing with you. That your value and your love and whatever it is that you have to offer the planet will result in all of those things coming to fruition. And the first step is really the hardest. And once you take it, you'll be amazed at how things progress. So thank you for listening. Thank you for doing your own work and caring about yourself and caring about other people. And remember, keep growing.